Moneyless free labor societies. As the title says, this piece outlines the theory and pragmatics of a society that doesn't utilize money and instead utilizes free labor as a methodology for organizing societies and trade relations. Moneylessness is a fairly straightforward proposition. Money as a concept is just a tool, a very old tool that has likely lost its usefulness. This piece simply removes the tool of money from the existing societal systems, and instead utilizes the metrics of freely chosen labor as the primary determining means by which goods and services are created, distributed, and utilized within a society. The theory holds that money as a motivating determination of what kinds of labor people do, while having some value, is not the best tool available for determining such things. That as a motivating tool it creates inequalities, incentivizes overproduction, scamming, thievery, violence, and extractive practices that are neither sustainable nor desirable. Such moneyed incentives have enabled the species to develop the means to utilize resources in more productive and a greater variety of ways, understood as development of new technologies, techniques, crafts, and the various interbioregional systems of trade, all of which have in some meaningful ways improved the qualities of lives of the people who have benefited from them. These various developments have created the potential for the reduction of the overall labor people actually do in a society. This potential, however, is not being actualized. This piece argues that the principal reason for that is exactly the tool of money. In effect, people are caught up in the illusory power of money, wealth, greed, etc., forgetting that money is just a concept, a tool, and not a reality any more than the species so happen to make it a reality. The argument holds that all the relevant data regarding supply and demand to meet the needs, wants, and desires of a given bioregion is already known. Astute readers may note that such was a principal aim of capitalistic theory, as in, let the people determine such things through free markets predicated upon the tool of money. Once that data is obtained, the tools of free markets predicated upon money are no longer useful for the tasks of creating and distributing the goods and services within and between societies. Moreover, the argument holds that by continuing to utilize the tool of money, we are creating surplus labor, that is, labor that no one really wants to do, and which isn't just useless, but is actively harmful on almost all levels. It wastefully creates goods and services that nobody wants, let alone needs. For instance, scams, thievery, and bad products, but also such things as pointlessly shipping goods and services around the globe, wherein those goods and services can be provided within any given bioregion, and the creation of masses of redundant, wasteful products that ultimately no one really wants, needs, or desires in general. The argument holds that a society predicated upon freely chosen labor can suss out all the surplus labor in the existing market, that absent the tool of money, while utilizing the relevant data regarding basic supply and demand, freely chosen labor is capable of doing the relevant labor of metrics of determination of such things itself. Free labor is a somewhat more complicated proposition than moneylessness. Labor is free in a few senses. It is freely chosen. There are few, if any, forced aspects involved in the labor that is done by people. This piece holds that money is a forcing mechanism whereby people are forced to work to live in the name of money, rather than for necessity to achieve the needs, wants, and desires of a people. A free labor society holds that there are plausibly essential goods and services that people ought to perform the labor of in order to produce and distribute, but that laborers are more than capable and incentivized to take on those duties without any particular force involved beyond the force of the ought itself, providing that they have the proper information. Moreover, freely chosen labor within the proper constraints provides exactly a mechanism whereby the kinds of labor that a society needs, wants, and desires can be determined. In essence, laborers understand that they have to work, can understand the plausible benefits and potential harms associated with any given type of labor, and hence that they themselves can determine through free choice in labor which labor they want to do. The rewards for doing said labor are free access to the goods and services so produced. Labor is also free in the sense that no one is getting paid for any kind of labor whatsoever. The argument holds that free labor, in the sense of not being paid via money, is thereby granted free access to all the available goods and services within a given bioregion and all adjacent bioregions. In essence, if no one is getting paid, if money as such is removed from the system in total, everyone within that system is thereby granted free access to all goods and services. This is tempered in a few ways. For one, labor is constrained to be primarily, but not exclusively, restricted in to whom they are trying to create the various goods and services for. Specifically, this restriction is joint carved along the grounds of bioregions and ecosystems as a whole. This entails that labor done in any given bioregion is primarily, though not exclusively, concerned with providing the relevant goods and services for that bioregion and all adjacent bioregions. Goods and services created therein that are in surplus of the needs, wants, and desires of the bioregions in question are gift given to non-adjacent bioregions in an open gift-giving trading market. The argument holds that the metric of freely chosen labor, in much the same way as the invisible hand of the market within a capitalistic system does, will tend towards maximal production within each bioregion, provided that its aims are restricted as previously noted. In essence, labor is incentivized to do no more labor than is actually necessary to meet the needs, wants and desires within their own bioregion and all adjacent bioregions. At the same time, the species' capacity to produce has increased so dramatically that each bioregion is easily capable of producing far more than is required to meet the needs, wants, and desires of its bioregion and all adjacent bioregions. Far less labor, in other words, is required to do so, hence the massive glut of surplus labor in the current system previously alluded to. Such surpluses of goods and services are giftable to non-adjacent bioregions, that is, freely given. If no one wants them in any other bioregion, then what has been identified is a surplus of labor, which freely chosen labor abhors. Why work, after all, for something no one anywhere actually needs, wants, or desires? This piece details the pragmatics of the moneyless free labor society, addresses the real and silly concerns folks may have with it, presents the likely real benefits that come with it, and provides guidance as to probable methodologies for its implementation. It's a bit jargony, but the system as presented is neither communistic nor capitalistic in form, nor for that matter is it particularly socialistic, anarchist, libertarian, authoritarian, oligarchical, or really any kind of organizational modeling that folks are likely familiar with. Its closest analog is the pragmatics of small-town, rural, and village life in pre-modern times. Insofar as there are political concerns, the free labor society is democratic, but the system minimizes political concerns. It is a kind of synthesis of these various systems, one that is plausible especially via the bioregional joint carving, the removal of the tool of money, and the minimization of politics. The free labor society draws on the strengths of these various organizational methodologies, places them within the constraints of the valid joint carving of bioregions and ecologies, utilizes the wisdoms and data associated with capitalistic free markets to meet the needs, wants and desires of people, the wisdoms of communism to trust in the actual people doing the relevant labor to be grown-ups bout it all, minimizes the involvement of political entities as such, and utilizes some significantly old-timey wisdoms regarding how actual people used to live before the rise of massive political entities tied with moneyed interests. A variety of methodologies for implementation are provided and examined. Potentially as simple as a head nodding of agreement by the existing political entities and oligarchical industries, creating relevant agreements between bioregionally constrained businesses and industries to implement such a system, to the more complex such as the plausible role of an open gift-giving market to actualize the system as a whole. A moneyless free labor society functionally operates on a few premises, each of which are argued for and expanded upon in this piece. 1. Money is a tool, nothing more. It has no intrinsic value to it. It is only as useful as it may be, as any other tool. Setting aside some old tool when a better one comes along is not a particularly bad thing, nor is it novel to do so for this species, though it is novelty. 2. People are kind, generous, and they want to help. Given the resources to do so, they will do so. 3. There is a superabundance in the world. In some sense, there always has been, but in the current that superabundance requires less labor than ever before, and the species' capacity to create a wide variety of products, goods, and services has radically changed. 4. The proper joint carving of societies as it relates to the production and utilization of goods and services is relative to the bioregion within which a given society lives. 5. The proper limits to production of anything are as they relate to the renewal rates of the given resource. 6. People will tend to do labor as a matter of choice. People do labor for a variety of reasons that are in and of themselves sufficient to meet the needs, wants, and desires of people. There are few, if any, needs for someone other than laborers themselves to force labor to do the necessary work to meet the needs, wants, and desires of a people. 7. Money as a tool creates serious issues in any society that utilizes it. It has limitations to its effectiveness and undesirable consequences to its use. Among the most significant issues thereof is that money as a tool distorts the labor market, motivating people to do undesirable things, creating unwanted or needed products and labors. 8. Minimization of political institutions and institutions of economic control is a general good, as these kinds of organizations tend to skew free labor production towards distorted ends that are undesirable. 9. Freely chosen labor will tend towards efficient, high-quality productions of goods and services, as labor generally abhors useless labor, and laborers tend to enjoy high-quality goods and services. 10. as local as possible. The principle holds that short supply lines are in all cases preferable, as they minimize the use of resources and create the conditions whereby each bioregion is capable of being as self-sustaining as possible. This principle does not entail an absolute prohibition against longer supply lines. It simply provides the delimited structure whereby any longer supply lines ought to be constructed, e.g., as local as possible.
I said I like it like that.
I said I like it like that.
I said I like it like that.
I said I like it like that. I'm the district in the chain. Certified, you know I'm gang. Drop the top and blow the brand. Oh, he's so handsome, what's his name? Yeah.
Ce que vous en dites.